Hey, this is Mrs. Gervasio. Let's not waste any time and get right to Thursday's homework. Okay, be sure to watch and re-watch the tutorial. Pause for the practice problems and of course come back and check and see how you did. Complete the homework at the end of the tutorial and of course show all of your work.
In this lesson, you will learn how to compare decimals by using base 10 blocks. Let's start with a little review. We use symbols to show how numbers compare. We know that 5 is equal to 5, so we use an equal sign to show that those have the same value. 4, we know, is less than 5, so that symbol there that looks like a part of a triangle, two parts of a triangle, is showing us that 4 is less than 5. And you'll notice that the wider part of our symbol is open to the larger number. Here 3 is greater than 2. So we have the symbol turn the opposite direction so that it is again facing the larger number, and we read this, 3 is greater than 2. There are some common mistakes that a lot of people make, but you can avoid them if you remember this. Longer numbers with more digits are not necessarily larger. In the number 1 and 2300ths, comparing it to 2, it is not greater than 2. What happens is a lot of people see that there are a lot of numbers there, written there, digits, and they begin to assume that. But if you just think about the whole numbers here, 1 and 2, you would immediately know that 2 is going to be greater than 1. We need to also remember that we've used base 10 blocks to represent a lot of whole numbers. Today we're going to use base 10 blocks to represent both whole numbers and decimal fractions. So here we have the whole unit broken up into tenths. And you can still see the tenths when I line the hundredths, but you can also see each individual piece of the hundredths. So each one of these squares would represent 1/100th. And 10 of these squares would still be 1/10. So let's try comparing 8/10 and 4/10 using these base 10 blocks. What I've done is I've started with a 100 grid, and I'm going to go ahead and line 8/10. Remember, each one of those long rods is a tenth. So I have 8 of those lined in, which is 80 hundredths. And 4/10 on this side, 4 of those long rods, which makes 40 hundredths. Immediately by looking at the pictures, I can see that 8/10 is going to be bigger than 4/10. And I can look at my chart as well. I can see them comparing in the same place value, tenths and tenths, that 8 is greater than 4. So we're going to read this sentence, 8/10 is greater than 4/10. Let's try another one. Maya has 45 hundredths ounces of water for a science experiment. Edwin has 6/10 ounces of water. Who has more water? Well, I'm going to start by drawing my pictures again. Here in the 45 hundredths, I know that's 4/10 and 5 hundredths. So I can draw in 4 groups of 10 for the 40, and then the 5 right there. And then 6/10 here. Well, that's pretty easy once I look at them. And let's look at the chart as well. When I look at 45 hundredths, that's 4/10 and 5 hundredths, and I look at 6/10, wow, I can see immediately, without even having to look at the 5 hundredths, that 6/10 is bigger than 4/10. So that means that the 45 hundredths is going to be smaller than 6/10. Another way to think about that, you can see I filled in the 0 in the hundredths because 6/10 is the same as 60 hundredths. So again, I know that 45 hundredths is less than 60 hundredths. And we can read it that way. 45 hundredths is less than 6/10. So that means that Edwin has more water than Maya. In this lesson, you have learned how to compare decimals by using base 10 blocks.
Okay, and here is the part of the homework that you need to actually bring into class tomorrow. Oh, that's okay. It's not very many problems at all. Okay, and determine if the value shown is more, less, or equal to half. And you need to do the same thing for each of these decimals. So altogether you'll have 8 problems for tonight. Alright, well thanks for watching and have a great night.